Welcome, this is Eva Vlaskova, day 13 of my self-imposed 30 days challenge of going live. Today I'll share with you something quite personal. This is one of those days where I really feel the right thing for me right now. It's taking things very slowly, paying attention to myself, being very tender with myself, very accepting and just listening to myself. And sometimes we may jump into mind talk in situations like this, where you may say like there's no time for it, and I'll contradict you there. Because what I learned is when I give myself permission to take that pause and just attend to myself, it's where most productive I become. Therefore, self-care equal productivity for me. And it's also down to belief. The moment you start practicing it and you start seeing it, how it actually plays out, if you give up any resistance you may feel in that moment and really just sink into it, that's where the productivity happens. Because if you just allow yourself that time off for yourself, but at the same time you're feeling guilty or even beating yourself up for it, you may as well stay being busy and pretending being productive. It's going to have the same effect. It won't produce nothing positive for you. Therefore, just relaxing, stepping back and being okay with it. Even if you feel internally any resistance, just sit with it and accept, yes, this is part of me as well. Sometimes instead of running, we need to slow down and take one step at a time. And it's a very kind way of parenting to yourself. It's a very beautiful way of being in touch with your own inner wisdom and intuition. And as I took that pause for myself in the morning, I caught myself reflecting about my own journey, about my own story, and the stages I went through on and who I was at different stage of my life, and the way I treated myself, the beliefs I had towards myself. And I was brought back to moments where I was working in very toxic environment with very toxic management. And back then I was still dealing with lots of traumas and with lots of negative beliefs about myself that were well rooted, deeply rooted in my subconscious programming that were coming from the early stages of my life. Therefore, this toxic environment was kind of like bubbling out everything that I was carrying inside to the surface. It was a cocktail, proper cocktail to really stir everything up. And my survival instinct, instead of withdrawing myself from that, kicked in, and again, let's start overcoming, let's start proving. And without realizing what I've done to myself in that sense is I was agreeing with all the negative messages I was perceiving from the outside that were completely disconnected from the reality of who I am. They were more reflecting the other person, for example. But because back then I would still not believe myself deserving, or I would still live in the belief of I had to work hard to prove myself, and not just that, no matter how hard I would try, it would never be enough. Therefore, I would double up and I would be unknowingly harming myself deeper and deeper, because I would keep reinforcing all those negative messages in me. And eventually I reached the point where everything inside me just rebelled, and something from within me made me start researching without really knowing what I was looking for. And I had different stages of my life, different decades, where something from within put me on specific direction. And I realized everything happened at the right speed, at the right time. And then there were moments of breaks in between where I lived my life, in a sense, recreating my limitations, reaffirming myself in my limitations until it became unbearable, until I became extremely rebellious to contradict those affirmations, to the point of, I am quite stubborn. Therefore, when I started receiving some messages as, what you're going to do, who you think you are, or stuff like that, either spoken or by someone's actions, that's what brings out of me the best, because the rebel, my inner rebel, is like, yes, watch me. So I reached the point where I would actually start seeking that challenge, because I know that would propel me forward. It would give me enough, don't know if it's rage, it's healthy kind of rage that would really give me that, just instead of overcoming something, that would be proving the other person wrong. And I was lucky enough that what I wanted to prove, without really being aware that I was proving something, it was the rebellion, no? So when I heard I can't, I would say I can. And I started writing notes all over my house, on my mirrors, next to my bed. And I started really analyzing my subconscious beliefs, subconscious mind. I started researching about the human brain, about how it's being developed, how it's being influenced. And I really started gathering all the understanding about what it actually means that our brain creates certain thoughts that are connected to the physical feelings, that's connected to our beliefs, and that's directly represented in the way we interact with others and the way we treat ourselves. And I'm realizing if I would not reach that point of being pushed to the edge, thanks of this quite toxic environment, I would stay in my comfort where I would be pleasantly dissatisfied about life, but not enough to the point that I would start feeling a bit itchy and really searching for something. Therefore, if you're feeling uncomfortable, welcome it and ask that discomfort. How are you serving me? What are you here to teach me? What are my beliefs about myself that I'm feeling uncomfortable right here in this situation? What beliefs others have about me that are negative, that I actually agree with them, either because I perceive them or assign them that value of external authority over me, I give them power over me, or sometimes even maybe do I abdicate my free will to others just because I'm scared of the consequences of not complying with someone's imposed rules that do not make any sense or are even going against my persona or against my well-being. So if you get used to asking yourself these kind of questions that are quite uncomfortable and are willing to be very raw about it, and truly feeling your body and constantly reminding yourself of, I'm feeling it, and yes, I still choose to stay relaxed. I still choose, when my muscles tense up, I send them the message like, please, muscles, body, I love you, relax, you are safe, it's okay, I'm working with you, work with me, we're on the same boat. And back to your breath, and back to your affirmations. Any negative beliefs you may have about yourself right now through this questioning, you can really uncover them, and then go to the opposite of that. What would be opposite of I am not worthy, or I'm useless? I am deserving and I have great value to offer. And in that moment, you may really feel how everything in you moves, and even you may feel like you're doing something wrong, because that little tiny voice inside you can tell you, like, who do you think you are? And acknowledge that, and still, like, I am willing to discover my own greatness, my own worth, despite of all that's telling me right now that it's not true. Especially if you spend decades of your life having these negative beliefs about yourself because it was safer adopt those beliefs that contradict authority figures that transfer that beliefs about you to you through their unconscious behavior, because frequently when someone harms us, they're truly not aware of their own behavior, because everyone carries some kind of wounding internally, and it's been transferred to another person the moment someone is not really addressing it, someone is not really owning their own baggage. Even when we are really focused on our personal journey and we are really focused on addressing that baggage and making sure it's not splashing on anyone else, even then mistakes can happen because there's always some blind spots. So another question that I really internalized is, what is it that I'm not seeing here yet? Where am I bullshitting myself? Where I am kind of being self-complacent? Therefore, always being open, there's still something that I may not see, because the moment you get very satisfied with certain answer, the moment you feel like, oh, I've done well for myself, I got this far, if you pause there, you're really taking the risk of actually pausing too soon and missing out your great breakthrough. And this is not something that you want to do as a occasional practice for a few months and then go back to your old life. It's a personal choice, of course you can, but if you are as committed as I am in rewriting all my old beliefs and my programming and really discovering all that you are capable of, all that you are worthy of, and the value that you have to offer, this never ends. Eventually you start internalizing everything and you start building up upon it. And it becomes part of your new operational subconscious system, and then expanding on it. And then revisiting the past versions of you actually before you stepped on this journey is very useful. It serves you as validation of how far you've come. It really validates as well that all that hard work, it's worthy, and also it's worthy to keep putting that hard work in, because truly the expansion never ends and there's no limits. You set the limits. So instead of saying I set the limits, you can say I am limitless, I am expansive, I am all that I want to be and much more. I can achieve anything that I can perceive outside myself that I admire on others. Because there were times where I would look at some people and I would really appreciate all that they had in their life that I didn't, with the sadness that was very deep within me. Kind of, it was a knowing, that sadness was coming from that knowing that I was agreeing with of, yes, certain things are just not for me because it's not my birthright. So yeah, actually no, it's not true. It's your birthright. Anything you perceive that you feel like, oh, that would be beautiful if I could have it. Life would be so nice, no? Life would be such a break, because you deserve that break. And also the way you speak to yourself, your mind is listening to it, but also the universe is listening to it. And for that reason, it's very important that you're listening to your body as well, where your body contradicts that talk or agrees to that talk. So you start really uncovering your own paradigm, and you start getting closer to shifting it to this limitless version of yourself that's never-ending, expansive. I don't really know for how long I've been here. Yeah, I could spend hours and hours talking about things and jump from one subject to another and then make the full round and link it all together. But I truly don't know what at this point it's valuable for you, what serves you, not only me showing up, I also want to offer value. So this at the moment it's serving me as practice and as visual proof to myself when I return to the videos of, yes, this is me as well. This is the direct reflection of my own hard work. And I wonder what the more evolved version of myself looks like. How much more beautiful experiences, blissful experiences, and expansive experiences I can create in my life on a daily basis. Who I am going to be, how I am going to feel about myself, and how I'm going to view myself as person or as a woman in 1 year from now on. Just what one thing subconscious mind cannot do is to ignore a question. Therefore, the moment you pop a question like this out there, your brain automatically, even if you're not aware of it, starts working on it. And that, for that reason, it's actually brilliant to start practicing any kind of questions that are relevant for you at this moment before bedtime. That way you're actually providing your mind with something to work on and make a routine of it, and then eventually ask your mind, what is it that I did not think of yet? Because in that moment you're inviting your brain to go to resources it did not use yet, therefore it cannot craft for you an answer that's being pulled from the resources of past experiences. It actually needs to go to another source. And it's magical. It's magical. And I cannot wait to hear about your own experiences when you start playing with this. Thank you for watching. Thank you for trusting. Thank you for allowing. And thank you for saying yes to yourself. The world needs you being you, your authentic self. And I am here to support you in regaining that personal power and stepping onto your authentic path that's free from any past negative messages or beliefs about yourself. So I'm tending my hand to you. Whenever you feel ready, reach out and we'll have the first exploratory session to see where you're at and how we can address your situation in that point and start heading towards that bright future. I am not different from you. You are capable as much as I am, and you are loved, and you are not alone. Have a lovely afternoon and see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.